I'll be ready in a second. Okay. So, yeah, things are gapping up here this morning, but everything that I'm looking at, I'm for the most part saying big deal. I mean, it all depends on whether they hold on to the gap here for the first 15, 30 minutes or so. So we'll see how that plays out. It's not like they're gapping up and clearing resistance and just blowing away this little consolidation. But, as I wrote about in the Monday letter and talked about in the video, my expectation is that it does get resolved to the upside. Maybe today is it, the news of America and China, they're talking to each other. The little Cold War is over, supposedly, probably until who knows when. This afternoon, tomorrow, what have you. Anyway, so news is, this market is reacting to news, whenever it comes moment to moment. Anyway, so there was some news on Sears. This kind of a decent gap up, but getting up in this area, it got to 420, which cleared here. So that's of interest, and I'll get to the futures. They're really no big deal. And GE continues to get interesting. And the news was that some other company is buying, or they're merging their rail division into some other company and getting a couple of $1 billion in cash and stock. So it's kind of like they're breaking off chunks of the company, which is a good thing. And maybe, you think about companies that things have come back in the past where, they've gotten away from their core business. And of course, GE's core business is tremendous. But they're chopping off some pieces of it here and getting some cash. And, the way the stock is acting, this bottoming pattern here, you always got to be careful with these. And you're always careful with everything, of course. But what I mean by that is they have a greater tendency to all of a sudden, come back down to earth rather quickly at some moment. So, and I have had a lot of experience with these kind of patterns in my early days, especially with the thought that what's beaten down is cheap and it has huge upside potential. And sometimes they do. But I had some very nice winners, and I had others, as I was learning, that, they hit some resistance point and they came all the way back down to where I entered them. So, bottoming patterns are great, and how to use them, and where, to take your money off the table or hedge them with call spreads and so on. And I mean, that is another great advantage or tool, a way to use options as a tool with these kind of patterns to hold on to them and not give back huge amounts of profits and turn them into break evens or even worse, losers, because there's a lot of losers up there. Especially into this area. And this would be a fantastic trade if this was to trade its way back up to, 1850 to 19 or so. And then it could come all the way back down to 16 or 15. You don't know. But the point is, if the weekly chart starts looking great at that point, you think, okay, I want to hold it, and selling call options and so on. So it's a tool to be used. And sometimes, if they shoot straight up, momentum move higher or gap higher in a big way, that's a point to trade, sell call options, or just take your money. No. I think it would be okay to get into GE now. You need a relatively large stop. I think it's a good thing. No, another service didn't say buy now. All the news was that the symbol was WAB, was merging. They kind of called it as a merger of WAB and GE Rail. So GE Rail is a subdivision of GE, and GE was getting $2-3 billion and stock, and shareholders were getting stock. So it just seemed like, the way I read it, seemed like a way for GE to begin to break off parts of its business and maybe focus on, what it would now consider its cores. Well, maybe if there's premium and puts down here, Dan can look at that and comment on this, but it is gapping up. So it probably would be a better time, a moment in time to do that, I think, because the premium is going to get sucked out of them on this gap up. But, to sell those puts, and if it comes back in here, to take the stock, sure. Okay, let's move on here. So S&Ps up here, they didn't clear the high. They're up here. They're still within our, well, not our, but this little range right there. So the little trading range continues. That is up there. And, cleared a little resistance. And so here is an example of a chart pattern that does not have a void, meaning it's got a little mini void, from here to here, but the reference points are close together. So the expectation is that there's going to be chop. And that's exactly what's happening now. So if the S&Ps can chop around here at this resistance and eventually start to move up, and we talked about this last week, it's the same thing. We just have a little bit more information to work with. If it can get through here, then it's going to be time to become more aggressive with longs. And if we can find things now, today, tomorrow, whatever, this afternoon, that are showing relative strength and are acting well, I think we have some good opportunities for the things to move to the upside. One of the things that I saw on the list down here that was gapping up was Google. And this may be good for a put spread, Dan. Now, I like it because it's pulled back here. So maybe there's some premium there, maybe, a spread down here, what have you. And it didn't clear any resistance, but this cleared the resistance. And now it's pulled back to support, kind of what I was hoping the market would do last week and didn't. So now as this pulled back here, the market's showing a little bit of strength. And this is maybe if we can get a put spread on this that's far enough away. And if the market is going to break out, maybe an idea of even a debit spread could make sense, but we'll see. And this caught my eye because it's pulled back, double bottom down here, cleared resistance, pulling back to where buyers should show up, and so on. Volume on Friday, so could be where it turns around. That I thought was interesting. NASDAQ, same thing. Gap up, looks impressive. Say, NASDAQ's up almost 50 points. Well, it gapped up and went nowhere, basically, or just hit resistance and come back down, and now it's slopping around. So if it can continue to slop around here and start pushing through this area, well, then we got something to really talk about. Right now, from my point of view, it's like no big deal really from Friday. Don't get too excited to jump on board something here and have, get slapped in the face. Take a look at the Qs. Similar type of price action there, or picture, gapping up toward resistance. But this is, if you don't have the futures to look at, so there's your reference number, which is around 169.5-ish to get through there. And the next reference isn't that far away, but if it gets through here, it's created a bottom. You can see here the retest of the bottoming tail bar on the daily, and getting through this area here, this type of pattern suggests it should be able to get through here. It's probably a stall point. Well, it's the same thing that I'm saying here, Dan. You can't look at every resistance area with the same glasses, meaning you could, well, this is a pivot. I just want to make the point here. If you said to me, this is monster resistance, I would say, well, it's resistance. However, and I, try to make these analogies or comparisons as to, do you think this guy over here can beat up on this big guy over here with the giant shoulders as this thing is forming? So, or another way of saying is, do you think that this huge area of support that's being created, demand, is going to stop because of this little puny area of resistance? So when I look at Google, same thing, and I say, is that area of resistance so powerful? Well, this is just starting to develop, so it's an idea at this point. But it came down, right, and it's stalled over here, so it has to deal with that. This is beginning to come together. What I'm seeing is anticipatory of what we might do if this pattern develops. Right now, we've got a little gap up that's so far going nowhere. It hasn't cleared any resistance, but it has to begin to build its muscles, so to speak. And if it can do that, this high up here should be a stalling point. And it's similar to the ANF conversation that we had on Friday, meaning this resistance here. Will it stop there? Probably, because every piece of resistance has to be dealt with. Sometimes prices blast through it like it's not there. Sometimes they stall there and they chop around for a while. Sometimes prices can't get through it. But when I look at a stock that's in an uptrend, and this 50 MA tells me that the 10 MA is rising on the weekly, and it pulls back into support, and it makes a double bottom and a wide range bar, going sideways there, so on and so forth. Will it stall there? Probably, but it should be able to get through it. And then, those are the thoughts behind the reasoning for the long bias. And now we see what happens, So if this was to start to go up and there was a green bar here, say going up to 28 3/8 today, and we know these retailers are coming out with earnings this week. I pointed out a whole bunch of them in Monday's letter. Okay? One comes out and it's like they're decimated. And this one is the victim of, news because it's in the sector. And that could negate that. So new information to move to something else. So there's a little lesson on support and resistance. Dow poking on the door here, up at resistance as well. Pretty much the same story, a little bit different. Crude oil stalled up here at the highs. Gold a little lower. Looks like it'll continue to go lower. XLE that I mentioned in the letter, possible breakout bar failure. No weakness here as of yet. I'll be keeping an eye on this and oil to see if that weakens, and if energy trades below this low here, we should see some at least day trading opportunities in energy stocks to pull in. So we'll see if that plays out. And I'll let Dan look at the other things because we got 10 minutes before the open as far as any gappers and open trades. There you go, Dan.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Open trades. I'll go through them real quick. We have no problems on our hand. Nike here and KE. We have a covered call. That's looking great. Now this one might be, since we have our covered call is at 72 that expires Friday. But if it starts to get strength here and it looks like a total brand new directional trade, then I'm probably going to buy to close that 72 just so we don't cap our gains. XLE, we let get assigned on Friday. So that was a nice $6-7 gain from using covered calls. XRT retail, we're in covered call. Visa, covered call. Intel, a short put spread. That has a nice gap here on this 15-minute chart with a price void above. That could be a day trade candidate, but our short puts are doing fine. CSX, we have a covered call, and that also looks good. I see it's not, I don't have much volume, but 64.23. That could be same thing. We want to buy back our call maybe over a 30-minute high because that looks great on all time frames. CMG, we're in a half lot. Spot, we took all of our profits on Friday into that big sell-off. Wow, yeah, we had a Halliburton here. We had a lot of things expire worthless. Halliburton, we have short puts. And this is just what I'm watching over here from the other day. All from Thursday, remember, looked great. And now we have a 1, 2, 3. So let me set an alarm, 258, but that looks great. A 1, 2, 3 from a rounding bottom pullback at the rising 20 with a bullish weekly and monthly. So this looks great. I frankly missed that for the letter. I mean, I would have considered that, but no harm done. It hasn't triggered, and we can watch it now with the market. MU, we aren't in that. Are you asking for a new trade, Mike, for you? We're not in MU. It's gapping at 56.16, which here, just look here on the 15-minute chart. It's gapping to resistance, kind of similar to the market. We're not going to be aggressive here because I don't know. As Greg said, are we going to clear this resistance or not? But my mindset today is 30-minute high. If we have a very shallow retracement and we just go sideways, then the bullish gap should resolve itself to the upside. So, Mike, you're wanting to leg into a covered call, or you have a covered call? Because I thought I remember you asking me on Wednesday, could you sell a call against your stock? And or maybe it was Thursday on the gap. Yeah, it was Thursday on the gap down. I said, yeah, definitely. Okay, then yeah, I mean, just watch your intraday time frame to sell an out of the money call. You want to time it. You want to look at three things. You want to look at MU. You want to look at the SMHs, the sector, and look at the Qs. Those are your three determining factors on if you think MU is stalled or not. Workday, I'm watching on my other computer here, but nice pullback, little rounding bottom, gapping up 135.50. So this one looks great to me also. Let me put that one in a thumbnail. The GE we mentioned. Upper right here is my monthly chart, climactic buy setup, small tails, higher low bar, higher high close, gapping up 1541. I'd prefer a pullback, but let's just see what happens. And I'll go pretty far out in selling the puts. The Boeing strength that we mentioned into the close Friday. And this was in the letter, in our weekly letter, but gapping up to 359, so it's going to be invalid, where there's no way we're going to get our credit. So we missed it. All right, let's look at some others here. just other watches and or gaps. Costco we're watching. Another retail stock. AAP. Was that on my earnings list? Yes, I forgot bib. We're in bib for in the monthly. We have a bull put spread, but it's also in the weekly as a new trade. New trade over Wednesday's high. Wednesday's high. So I forget if AAP was earnings or not, but I don't see anything there. AZO. Let me check my earnings list again. Yeah, AAP and AZO are earnings. So this is a tier 1 for me. AZO for selling a put spread over a 30-minute high, maybe 15-minute high. Now I know the weekly is 3 bars up and a red bar, but I have a bullish monthly. I have a bullish daily. Look at all these converging MAs. It's gapping up. Let's see what it does. And I have a price void here to the left. So I'm going to put that in a window, thumbnail. Coup. Now, well, actually, coup. Let me tell you what I did. Earnings is CCO, and that's total garbage. So I'm just going to delete him. But I put COO. I typed it by mistake. And then I said, wow, this looks great. I mean, great for a put spread. Weekly is a total mess. Monthly, you got that topping tail. But look at this buy setup, converging MAs. It's a higher high, higher low, green engulfing bar. So I'm just going to watch coup as a regular play, not as a gapper. I'm going to put it in my other chart. Was that Kerbal? Yeah, Kerbal has earnings, but this is total junk, so I'd have no idea what to do with that. Yeah, John, yeah, I have no idea what to do with Boeing, so he just is kind of dropping to the bottom of my list. But he, Boeing and a many Dow, the big industrials, and I don't know if I was watching Fox Business or CNBC, but they were showing a lot of these big companies, the Dow industrials, and then they even mentioned Intel. 24.5% of their business is related to China. So obviously, this news on China is positively affecting these companies because it goes right to their bottom line. No tariffs, then don't mess with my existing sales distribution. Shop one. I mean, it's a watch item. It's just not perfect tier 1 entry to me. It's not breaking out here. You got some resistance here. It's getting overbought on the weekly. I mean, we'll watch it definitely. EV, nothing. IGT. I was watching this one for a pullback, and that was on the news of gambling. The Supreme Court allowing state gambling. KSS. Okay, this is earnings. Oh, IGT was earnings. Oh, let me put that one back in. Okay, I don't see any. That's strange. I don't see a single pre-market print. All right, so KSS is earnings. We'll watch them. TJX was earnings. Garbage, Toll, earnings. I don't see where he's gapping, but it's, kind of garbage here. Greg mentioned in the video that, hey, we'll see if we get a breakdown failure in the sector. CNHI, 13 bucks. Hey, this little guy. Yeah, I could sell this one on the ticker going by. CNH Industrial. I have no idea what he does, but I will watch him. Put him in my other computer. CNHI. We talked about GE. Roku, I just saw on the ticker going by, 3640. Let's see. Now, Roku, I like more as a put spread because it's juicy and we're near the bottom of the basement here. So I like Roku. My AZO alarm went off. But remember, we do not trade in the first 10 minutes on, is a better rule on Monday. I saw this one going by on the ticker. 18 bucks. It's just coming out of a coma. Something happened Friday on volume. I have no idea what, but it gapped up again. Nothing to do. And I don't like trading these penny stocks, but if you do, there's one you can watch. Dan, are weekly letter recommendations in play or wait 20 minutes? Well, I didn't say 20 minutes. The ones in the letters are always per the instructions, plus our trading rules. But when we're here in the green room, you can ignore those rules, right? Because we're doing them in real time. All right, IGT is holding. This is a definite watch. I wish it wasn't as far away from the 20. But you know, so far it's only been 1 minute, but we're getting resolved to the upside. So in my opinion, that's an exceptionally good piece of news. It's holding all of this pre-market support and it just broke out. But I don't feel like hitting the buy button after 1 minute. But as of this 1 minute in time, I'm bullish. And that could change in 2 minutes. We'll see. Everything's powering up. I know there's resistance to the left. I see it. We talked about it. But I'm just talking about a bullish gap, bullish pre-market. You know, people thinking about traders' mentality. Maybe they're, you know, they got this good news of the trade war in their head, and they're in a buying mood. And we will be too. Just we want to be a little bit more patient. Wow, look at IWM. Man. Hey, let's check out spiders that expired today for a put. The 272, and then I would even roll them because 272s are only 9 cents. Well, you know, 90 bucks, but I wish it were more. The 272 and a halves are 17 cents, which is here. Here's your 272 and a half. I'm just watching. I don't want to rush, but I'm positively impressed right now. AZO. Now this one, you know, it kind of had a failed breakout there in the weekly I mentioned. This would be an ideal 30-minute high put spread. Gap trade setup. Yeah, Garmin looks great. It's kind of spotty here, both pre-market and today. It's kind of, there's, wow, it looks like light volume. But that would be a great put selling candidate also. And the 59s for this Friday. 6 by 31. Yeah, I've noticed, particularly on Mondays, the option spreads at the open are horrible. Horrible. All right, GE. you know, sloppy, but let me just take a look, see what the puts look like. $15 puts for June, 25 cents. You know, so that's a 1.5 points. That's not bad. Let's go all the way. Let's go out 60 days. Just because if it's a long-term hold, you know, just, you know, we'll take assignment of it. So the $15 are 54 cents. That's pretty big. Or you could do the $14 and 23 cents. But 53 cents on a $15 stock is over 3%. So I kind of like it. Or even do a put spread. And the out of the money, again, is just to make it less maintenance requirement. The 15-13 is 48. I'll just type this so you see what I'm looking at. GE July 15-12 is 48. $3 wide, getting 48 cents is very juicy, but 60 days. But I'll watch it. Spiders still plowing. Look at that. I'm bullish today. This is very bullish action. Diamonds look good. Let's find which one we like the best. Spiders, I like them both, but I kind of just like spiders more because they're more diversified. They're 500 stocks, they have multiple expirations, and they're very liquid. They're more liquid than diamonds. So let's go out even further on spiders. Let me check Friday. Maybe we'll have to do that. Spiders, so we can do the 271s, 271.50. Yeah, the 271s are 49 cents. I like that. Let's do that. Let me find us a spread. 271, and then I'm just going down. $271, $264. All right, let's do that for now, and we'll keep adding. 43 cents. And I'll post that for our weekly trader. All right, got filled at the 44. Let me write this up. Yeah, I'm not ready to do any directionals on the market right now, but I just wanted to get into this, just have some little bit of bullish exposure. Well, the Garmin's holding, Roku came in, GE sloshing around, AZO is, illiquid. I'm just posting this. Which one, Greg, are you talking about? All right, Garmin looks great. Let's see if the puts have come in a little bit, or is I think Greg's talking about a swing trade. FANG stocks are all ripping.
I was having a private conversation with Cindy about her stock. Unprivate in the room. But she took the money.
Yeah, Garmin is still too spready. So, yeah, I mean, day or swing trade. That's spready for options.
TWLO must be taking out those highs.
Twilio. Nice.
Need room. No other way.
Oh, I forgot to mention our Wells Fargo also. We have a short put on that. Bib hasn't hit for a new trade. Halliburton. Remember this UNH I was watching the other day? Shoot, look at that go. And it was just over the high, right in here on Wednesday and Thursday I was watching it. But now it's gone too far. Cat. Apple still looks great. Look at that bullish consolidation on Apple. Wow, I'd do a put spread on that for Friday. And they sell a lot to the Chinese. 185, it's only 32 cents, not enough juice. I mean, that is strong. Tesla, the Google Greg was talking about. Nice wide range bar. All right, so now 1060. Let's see what we can get for Friday. Yeah, it's juicy. You can even do the 1055s. The problem is, you know, you got to go way out of the money. So a $10 wide is 50 cents is all. A 1055, 1045. Netflix I like. You know, let it go sideways more, but it's building a launching pad. I mean, maybe an afternoon breakout. Maybe if we get a wider range bar where the real body closes outside of this. But that looks great. Amazon, nah. I like Apple and Netflix the best. Oh, I forgot Facebook. Even Facebook. You know, that's a little buy setup after this breakout. This even took out this prior high. And this was the bear gap from its big data breach disaster. So yeah, I mean, well, it's resistance here on the weekly. So I still like Netflix and Apple. Roku coming in, so now I'm demoting him. He's Dan, are you hearing music in your head? Is that what you're saying? Or are you playing Rod Stewart or something? AZO. All right, let's, you know, let me just look anyway, but I know it's going to be spreading. And we'd go down to the 640s, for example. Wow. Whoa, it's massive. What the heck? I thought it had earnings. Let me check earnings again because it's very juicy. Ah, it was wrong. The sheet I was looking at. That's why. See, I just checked a different earnings, and it's tomorrow. But one sheet I was looking at showed it as today. And I see why you need to check things. IGT going nowhere. And see, when you're buying pullbacks, when you have all this air below, that's a risk that it could trigger, take over prior bar's high, and then come back and make a lower low. That's why you hear Greg and I many times saying, well, if you do it, you have to start with a bigger stop. So if you were to buy this, you got to start under this big power breakout bar. And then over time, when it proves itself that it's holding, you can raise the stop. All right, Roku, so you're gone. And GE, I'm still watching on the other computer. This little dog, you can, oh no, this is one I saw on the ticker. I have no idea what it is. Let me see if there's any premium for the 12. CNHI, I've never heard of this stock. No juice whatsoever. Toll, all right, Toll shaped up a little bit. Let's look at this ITB. See, Greg was, mentioning this could be a breakdown failure. It's definitely not ready. Just something we're watching, but Toll, there's going to be no premium, but it is a pattern. You could sell 41, even 41 and a half. Let's see if there is any juice. And on earnings like this, I don't mind going all the way out to June because we talk about this all the time, volatility contraction. Volatility is still high in Toll, even though it announced its earnings this morning. So the 41s for June are 50 by 60. Let's see if we did a 50, a 41. A 41.36 is 47 cents. And then even if it just goes sideways, you should make money on volatility contraction. All right, so it looks like, let's see, it's 9:53, and we're, the markets are stalling here a little bit, so I'm still in watch mode. But that's an idea on Toll. TJX is garbage. I'm deleting them. KSX, it's kind of a bull flag, multi-month bull flag on the weekly. Bullish monthly, sloppy daily. But this would be a candidate, just and see, on something like this, you don't even need to go all the way down to 59s. I would even consider the 60 or 61s just to get more premium. Yeah, David, I'm in it. I posted it. If you're not in it, I would wait. Just go to a 5-minute chart and wait for a better setup. Look, just drop down to your 5-minute. It's coming in. So just wait till you get a buy setup or a double bottom. That's all. But yeah, I'm in it. KSS. All right, I think this is another error. Oh shoot, I was looking at the wrong date. My bad. All of those Okay, so folks, all those pre-market gaps that I was saying, AAP, AZO, CCO, Kerbal, EV, IGT, KSS, TJX, TOL, are tomorrow morning. There was actually nothing on this list I'm looking at for today. So that is why these things are having high juice that I'm looking at. All right, so I have no great gapping stocks or earnings. Oh, damn, let's look at Boeing. It's too extended for me. On the daily, 3 bars up, gap up, topping tail. I mean, you might get a day trade if you get a compelling intraday setup, but I don't think it's high odds. Yes. That's a beast, getting extended on the weekly, monthly at a prior high, but it's in an uptrend on the daily. So you can trade it until the uptrend ends or gets climactic. What else we got? That's the Garmin. Here's small banks, big banks. Hey, big banks. Little bull flag there, little bullish gap. It's not ready because it's in the middle of congestion, but it's a watch. Biotechs, retail, XOP, we're in a put spread. XLE, we're out of. OIH, Toppy at a prior high. So this would be a perfect time to get off your long if you were in OIH. We did the other ones, but this one worked also. You got a topping tail, inside bar, bearish engulfing, ignoring the gap up. So that one definitely looks lower. CMG we're in a half lot, but at break even. And it looks like we got stopped out of the back half. But at a profit, even the back half. The first half was at a huge gain. Oh, my Alta alarm didn't go off. Oh, you know what? It did right at the open. Shoot. Yeah, it did right at the open. My alarm was at 2:58. So this is a nice watch. I'm going to put it in a thumbnail. Gold still underperforming. Ouch. Wow. And John Malden, his team, his macro team, whatever, it's been touting GLD is a no-brainer long-term investment. Well, he can get it cheaper now.
I don't find his recommendations to be very good, Dan.
But two things. Candidly, he doesn't give recommendations. He's writing about themes and macroeconomics, and it's his, he might associate with the team, and he was just relaying it. Number two, he does have not a hedge fund. He does. Well,
he recommends money managers to people.
Okay, but yeah, he does have one on his own now, because when I was in the money show in Dallas lecturing a couple months ago, I saw him there, and he was talking about his funds, and he was saying, I have 4 separate traders, and they have different disciplines, and this is what they do, blah, blah. All right, let's look at our Surefly here. It's looking good. And it was over 95.88. Okay, so it hasn't hit yet. Let me make sure my alarm is set. I'll set it at 95.70. But Greg, again, back to Malden. I don't know which of his 4 people, if any, are technicians. So again, that's another example of, we talk about, Tommy at Tasty Trade. They don't believe in charts, and I just don't know his answer. I've been reading his newsletters for 20 years, and I don't think I've ever heard him say, hey, look at this chart of gold. It's about to break out with high weather breakdown failure. He don't talk like that.
If you like long-winded theories about macroeconomics, I suppose it's entertaining, but.
Well, I wouldn't use the word entertaining at all. I personally view it as it's helping, paint a picture of the intermarket analysis and, possibility of world recessions. And so I think it's a whole lot more than I surely don't do it for entertainment. I do it for learning. Look at our GE here busting out.
Can you remember something he was right on?
Yeah, he called the recession. He nailed it. He called the housing bust. He knows all about the inverted yield curve and was calling it. He candidly called it early. Here, I'm looking at GE right now. He was right on, at least for a while, on the Japanese yen call. Here, let me get us into GE here.
Pat's with me. I can't read him anymore.
Really?
I didn't think he's a decent writer, of course, but as far as useful information, I don't find it to be. Actually, I find it to be something that deters me from my own views sometimes, and I'm right more than he is, so I don't need to read that, other than, like I said, sometimes it's entertaining because he goes into long explanations about, so many different variables that are macro, and
All right, so on this GE, I'm going to post the July. So 60 days to expiration, because this is just long term. And Greg, I don't know if you want a directional on this or just, selling puts. But the 15.12.43 and then we'll just take assignment. Unless, then it turns bearish. And then if it goes under 13.77, we're in deep pain. What are your thoughts on GE?
I'm entertained by Pat's comments. It looks good.
All right, so folks, it's a longer term trade. You can pick your own expiration, your own strike, if you like it, of course. That's always the case.
Market is marking time here at that resistance we talked about. So far, okay, just a mess overall. If you look at the hourly chart of the futures or the spiders and Qs, so far just consolidating at near the top of the wide range bar, so it's okay. XLE is getting weaker, starting to shape up. Hasn't broke the low of that inside bar, but that's my second alert on this. It's getting weaker. I'll see what it does here into the gap fill. I'll be watching that. XLF, it's stuck at resistance, but it's holding up. I mean, that's basically the theme here at the moment, that markets, various sectors are stuck at resistance, and so far they're doing okay at that area. They're not collapsing. Of course, they're not going up, but actually it's good when they act this way, meaning they continue to hold up at that resistance area, kind of builds up a shelf of support to move higher from, assuming that it does, of course. But so far, it's just not going anywhere.
Yeah, IWM came in the hardest. But yeah, we've definitely stalled. So other than my one spider put spread, I've done nothing. And so as I told David or whomever, you just hold off on that put spread until we get more information. Look at Alta is moving still.
Assuming this market does go up, and I think that based on the daily pattern, if it takes out the high of the day here, which would suggest it's going through resistance, we could be in for a decent move. So I think something like Apple should be able to make a nice move higher. And I liked what the hourly chart is doing here, sideways at this resistance area. So far, it's an inside bar after the wide range bar. So if you're an Apple lover, I think this could be something that could be a mover. If I'm right, that the market goes up, and it's going to have to prove itself, of course, because that's how we look at things. They have to take out some resistance area as the pattern forms. If the market goes down and fills the gap today, that's probably not a good sign.
Absolutely.
Look at gap fills as being good, but this is not one that I think would be good. A Monday gap fill at resistance after holding up, for whatever, 50 minutes now, and 40 minutes. It should continue higher, but we don't want to see it collapse. That wouldn't be a collapse, but I want to see it hold the gap. I wouldn't buy calls here. I think it's good for naked puts. I mean, if you look at the daily chart and look at, where the ideal buy setup would be, it's already moved and now it's gapped up. So it may just continue to run, but I wouldn't think to buy straight calls would make sense.
All right, Alta earnings May 31. So we could still do Fridays if there's any juice. Let's see, the 245s, no juice. 15 by 45. Baba, yeah, if I missed any questions or stocks, yeah, just shoot them again. Yeah, Baba, looks great. It's up here at weekly resistance, but I like this consolidation over time. It's working on negating that. So that, yeah, I mean, that could be a put spread. He's typically juicing. Let's see what the 192.50s are like. And again, no, unless it's on its own page like GE, I would wait until we get more confidence of the market holding and not doing the scenario Greg threw out as a possibility. Okay, cost. Yeah, let me look at that, Mike. Thanks. So, Baba, the 192.50, 187.50, 36 cents. It's not my 10%, but it's pretty wide. You would get the 20 cents if you did the 195, 190. That's 67 cents. So then the question is, are you okay with a 195 strike, which is right there? It's not bad. Not bad. Yeah, if it closes like this or the market holds, then I'll consider that. Cost 6.1, 190, 180. I don't like this topping tail, and that's showing a deep retracement here. But if it can break out from here and then make a higher low, Mike, on the 5-minute chart, then I would consider it. Oh, but June 1, so you're going out 2 weeks though. But 190 is far away, so I like that. So that's the plan. I want it to hold the low of this bar right here, which is 199.76. I want it to go up and then make a higher low. But right now, it's a 90% topping tail. So I don't like it this moment in time. I like the Baba better. Look at Ulta plowing. You could watch that on a 5-minute pullback, and that could be a swing trade. I mean, that's a beautiful gap breakout from a 1, 2, 3 from a base. It looks great. You just gotta watch and babysit your 5-minute for an entry, but it looks great. Let's look at some of our opens here. CSX. Let's say remember I said I might close the short calls, but I'm not. I'm just going to collect our money from the short call. This, no pun intended, this doesn't look like a runaway train. It looks like a train though, just not a runaway one. Nike, we have a covered call, so we're doing fine. I have a put spread on myself. Our retail is green. Cake, we have a covered call. And that you know, it's against us, but we're still in it. Home Depot, I think we can find better. You know, it's just in this congestion mess.
Lowe's is going to report this week, I believe.
Yes, it is. I like this Apple better than Home Depot. Bullish consolidation above all the rising moving averages, bullish, you know, to all-time highs. So this Apple, if the markets and the Qs in particular decide like they want to, you know, sprint to the upside, I like this Apple. And I think Greg was discussing a directional. Yeah, and I looked earlier, the 185s didn't have enough juice. But, you know, based on this pre-market gap and go, you could even do the tighter 187 and a half. S-Fly, I have an alarm, nothing to do now. Oh yeah, the SPWR. Somebody said hit. Yeah, it took out the high and came in. Let me see what the puts are now. The 9.7. So yeah, I said it, currently the midpoint is 35 cents. Did somebody get filled at 38? I'm going to try it myself right now at the 38. No fill, but I'll leave it there. David, this SPWR. We're doing the $9, $7 put spread for June. Just based on, you know, I never would trade this stock, but I like the big double bottom on the monthly. And it took out Friday's high, and TAN, T-A-N, which is the sector, is, you know, bullish breakout. And there's just not many liquid ones. So Greg, did you look at solar? Like what's making TAN go up? Fizzler, I thought, was the big dog, and he's lagging.
SPWR maybe, and there's one stock in there that is like on its own page.
Yeah, well, this is the one we put in the letter, SPWR, but I didn't think he was the big boy. I don't know what their market caps are.
There's a lot of garbage in that ETF, to tell you the truth.
All right, let me look at some of our others. Yeah, all the fangs are coming in. So NASDAQ's actually lagging the spiders. Spiders have the relative strength right now. Remember this fossil that I've been, you know, ever since this earnings day, I I've been trying to get an entry based on the weekly, monthly, and
SEDG, that's the one at all-time highs. And run is pretty strong. It's actually quite strong.
let me see if SEDG can wants to pay anything. But this was the one we sold a put on this earnings day. And remember somebody in our Facebook group, when I posted this as a bullish play, you know, he commented, "Oh, I fade all, you know, new high breakouts." And I'm like, all right, you know, they all aren't created equal. So for June, wow, it's very juicy. We could do the 60. The 60.55, way the heck down here, is 45 cents. I'll keep an eye on it. See the Q's retracing more than the spiders here. Run, yeah, kind of a little rounding bottom there in an uptrend. Sun Run, what do they do?
Solars.
Okay.
It's in the sector anyway.
Well, and you know the news on this, and you know that's how we like taking more news that affects the entire United States. Like we had the gambling ruling that affected all gambling stocks. This one wasn't news per se, but it was California passing a law, I think by the year 2020, that they're going to require solar panels on, you know, whatever types of homes they're going to, whatever the law says. You know, this trade war affected all these big Dow stocks, well, many stocks, as we said, that do business over there. Now you could sell an $11, so just follow the math on this. You could buy this stock at 11.07. Okay. You could sell a naked $11 put for June, 55 cents a share. So if assigned, your cost basis is $10.45. So you're getting a 63-cent discount. Let me get my calculator out for that. 63 divided by 1107 is 5.7% discount. But for some reason, brokers say it's too high risk to sell naked puts. I will never understand that. But you're free to buy it at 1107 all day long. But I don't want you to own it at 1045. It's just retarded thinking. And I'll let you do a covered call, which is the same thing as a naked put, but naked puts are too expensive. I mean, are too risky. They're the same thing. It's just one transaction instead of two. I mean, one commission instead of two. There's the Bitcoin ETF, GBTC. It's just nothing there. A riot, it's coming in. Goldman. Hey, Greg, you were talking about airlines in the letter. Here's, look at UAL's having a good day. Or Friday, weren't we talking about a put spread in this?
I just looked at Delta. There was no juice going out 11 days.
Yeah. Save. Let me see if he has juice. No, you got to go all the way to June. I mean, it's not bad. You can get 40 cents for the 35s. And that's over 1%. And there's your 35 right there. I couldn't fault anyone for wanting to do that. You're just getting paid to call a bottom. JetBlue, junk. Hawaiian Airlines, junk. Just going through some of my go-to stocks here. Square, it's shaping up. It's not ready, but it's, if it could go sideways a couple more days, then you got my interest. I like that weekly. Some steel stocks are all coming in. Nothing there. Goldman, Shop, nothing. iRobot, nothing. Herbalife, nothing. NVIDIA, oh, it's engulfing. SMH at resistance. Intel, relative strength. See that? You see that, folks? That's a beautiful comparison. Intel to the SMHs. To NVIDIA. LRCX. Wow. Intel. We might have to do another put spread on this. We already have one open. And I, you know, like I said, I saw in the news that they said that they got 24.5% of their business from China. Let me see what put spread we have open now, because I'm interested in another one, maybe even for the weekly. We have the 50-45 with no stop, because we said, we'll take it. You want us to buy it from you? We will. Put spread is 12 cents, so we're at 75% of max gain. All right, so that's good. What would look interesting? I mean, I could even do a put spread for this week. 53.5, which is this pivot right into Friday's close. Looks great. Look at it busting a new high right now because he knows that we're talking about him. $53.5 is only 14 cents. We went out 2 weeks. Well, it's just not very juicy. Look, Spider's holding well right here. You know, I was concerned that this red bar was, you know, engulfing was going to be our lower high and get dragged down with the Qs. But look, the very next bar engulfed it, and now we're taking out the high of this little 5-minute pivot. So spiders still look great. Momo breaking out. Microsoft, I like Intel better, and I like Apple better. NTAP, nope. Workday, okay, so that was on my list today, but it's a gap and crap. NOW, nothing. Trip, nothing. Dropbox, nothing. HEAR, nothing. IQ, it's holding, but no trade, no pattern. Overstock, nothing. It's in a coma. Hey, remember XPO that I got from one of you on Friday, and I said it looked fantastic, so I kept it on my list here. You know, it's 3 green bars at a prior high, but breaking out right now on a 5-minute chart. Weekly, monthly look great. Let me check out a put spread there. Though we could go down to the 105s. 105, 100 is 75 cents. Wow, that's massive. Let me see when earnings are. Well, it's not massive, but it's, you know, 15% instead of 10. Q's here now, reversal bar. May 2nd, so we're good on earnings.
Mine says August 1st, Dan.
Yeah, mine said July 31 on Yahoo Finance. All right, so that's the 105.95. Oh, shoot, no, wait, 105. Oh, yeah. One's $5 wide and one is $10 wide. So the 105.100 is a 75 cents, and they're spready. So I'm gonna, let me see if I can, this is price discovery. I'm gonna try to get 85 cents. And I'll tell you if I get filled. Nope. So now what I do is I change it. I'm gonna now change it to 80 cents. Nope, didn't get filled. Now I'm gonna change it back to the midpoint of 75. Still no fill, but I'm not gonna chase it. Spiders here, see, we said was the relative strength. New high, diamonds also. But I told you I was focusing on spiders because of multiple expirations and liquidity. Remember this big old gap, WWE last week? Still a beast, wow. Wow, and this was our pro gap one that I said multiple time frames in alignment, that I did a chart lesson, you know, not a lesson, just marked it up in the Facebook group. All right, nice Garmin, yep, new high, very good. Look, Philip Morris is still a dog. BMY, it's trying, it's trying. There's this zebra. Came back a little bit from the scare on Friday. The weekly still looks good. All right, so the Costco I was talking about earlier, it did trade under that, and now it's trading back over this congestion. So you can still apply the rule I said, which was, you know, I'd like it to get at least over this 250 level and then pull back and make a higher low. IYT, look, transport's breaking out. Greg, we need to go hunting. Finally.
Airlines. Well, that's the beaten down ones in there.
Any you like directional or?
No, they're all bottoming junk.
Okay. Which we don't mind if we can get paid for it. But IYT looks better than airlines, so you know it has to be railways, you know, shippers, truckers. You know, there's other transports that have to be holding it up.
Oh, there's such a diversity between what's good and bad. The ones that are good, they're moving, or they've moved. Let me put it that way. So something like, I don't know, Federal Express, that could bring up the rear. It's kind of in between the junk airlines and things like, what is that, trucker that's done nicely already, JBHT.
Yeah, and Swift is another one. I forget his symbol.
The rails are moving up, kind of, you know, just grinding higher. So I don't know what kind of option play you could possibly find there, but
oh yeah, JBHT is, yeah, FedEx. Yeah, let me see if I can get juice there.
I mean, that's the only pattern in the sector that, you know, I kind of like. It's got to break out, but if put spread candidate, if you could get something below.
JB Hunt. Wow. All right, FedEx. Yeah, I mean, I like it. So it'd be the 240, 245s.
I'd be right back, Dan.
No juice for Friday. If we go out to next week, wow, it's just not very juicy. But it is $9 away for 2 weeks. You would have to go $10 wide to get your 45 cents. But I don't like the 2 week holding pattern to have to get that. But maybe it'll be a directional after it breaks out, and then we get a small little pullback. Spider's still chugging, so see, at least I'm glad we got us in that. Let me check the puts on this IYT actually. Yeah, with the transports, Tim, going up, yeah. IYT, we could do the 190s. Hey, they're more liquid than I expected. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. All right, let's find us an IYT trade, folks. All right, so here's a little pivot right there. So that's 190, and it's breaking out. So we can do the 190s. 185, there's our 52 cents, but you got to hold them 52 days. But we have $6.89 of cushion. Man, I just don't like having to hold a month, but that's an idea. I'll watch it later. Shoot, I don't know what I just did. Whatever button I just hit, it took away my space in here. I don't know, I'm always fat fingering something on this. Mike, I need more information. Okay, you have a bull call debit, not doing much. How would a credit spread work? You mean, well, you have a credit spread. You have a debit credit spread. Are you talking? I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking? We have two trades on it. We have a bull call debit spread, which is a swing trade, and we also have a bull put credit spread, which is an income trade. Yeah, so you would sell a bull put credit spread. And then you just have to determine what strike price and how much to go out in time. But I wouldn't do it right now just because it's lagging the market and it's, lower low. It's, downtrend on the 5-minute chart. Let's see what the 15's here on support. We have a June put spread on. So let me see if you were Nike. If you wanted to do a sell a 67.5 $5 wide, you can only get 32 cents, but then you have a huge cushion way the heck down here. If you sold a tighter one, the 70.65, then you can get $1. That's the one that we're in. If we close strong, I'm going to be adding to these spider put spreads. So Mike, I actually like my Friday spider put spread better than the Nike, because the Nike, you have to hold it until June, but our spiders, if we close like this, I mean, I'm already in it, but you can sell the Friday put spread and then you only have, 4 days and change of risk instead of 28. All right, folks. Yeah, I think we're kind of stalled here for the afternoon, so I think I'm going to head out now. Any other questions before I leave for the midday break? But if we close strong, then yeah, I'm going to be adding some put spreads, plus tomorrow over today's high, I'll add more. How's our Look, the VXX will, he still looks lower. We'll consider a out of the money call spread on that.
All right, Dan, go ahead. I'll take over for a little while.
All right, cool. See you in a bit.
Okay. I'm kind of just waiting here to see how things shape up in the afternoon myself. If these things hold on. If they do, I think we're going to have a lot of setups. That little, if anybody's in this Garmin, when it hit that 50 cents, it was just a logical place for it to stall. And if you were in it or watching it at the time, yeah, I mean, they came in and they hit the bid as it couldn't get through 50 cents. That was normal. And it's kind of just chopping back and forth here. Came back, there are buyers underneath. And look for it to go higher, I think, as long as it holds up here. And the market does, of course. I gave this a lot of room. You know, you probably thought, oh, why the heck would he give it all that room? Well, because there was no retest. And although it looked, you know, good from a daily and intraday perspective, and this could have taken out the low of the day and still been fine. Sometimes they poke under the low of the day, and that's when they took off. This one retested the area, and then it took off. So happens in different ways. So I'd rather give them more room. You know, a lot of gap traders. I don't know how much experience you guys have had with different people that trade gaps, but this setup right here is one that some would have gone after aggressively, meaning large position sizes. And sometimes these take off, you know, like they blast, and it's great when they do. But many times they do this, and it's exactly where they get stopped out. Some will put stop under the low of the day and they'll get stopped there. But this little blip here, because of the position sizing, and they're doing what they have to do money management wise, it's correct, because you don't know that it doesn't collapse and then they got a huge loss. But you know, this setup here is more likely what happens on days like today versus a market where things are moving up and you know, there's more certainty about the move versus this choppy type of action where the markets are, you know, holding up relatively well at this resistance area. And so that type of uncertainty, you get more wiggles in individual stocks. So now we're just going to see how this can shape up. Took half off there, and we'll see what happens. I think it can go higher. I mean, just based on this resistance, look at the hourly chart, this bottom here. So maybe push up into here. I'm kind of thinking today, ideally, but at this point, maybe it's just going to chop around for a while. So we'll see. Keeping an eye on XLK. It's kind of lagging. Overall, these patterns aren't ones in which they make big moves, but right now, but it's holding up well, like a lot of things are. held up the gap, going sideways. Let's see if they can get above the highs here. Qs look pretty much the same. Technology, Qs. As mentioned, spiders are knocking on the door of that prior high. So far, they're holding up. Actually holding up relatively well. As I said earlier in the morning, we do not want to see this gap filled. We want to see it hang up here, go sideways, which is what it's doing. There was news on this morning. I forget what it was. I guess it was positive news. Holding up pretty well. Back here, it was downgraded. Actually, downgraded to a sell. It did go down a little bit more. Looks like it's going to go higher. This pattern is not as attractive as the one it was here. Anybody know why? That one versus this one. Yes, that's in part, absolutely. You know, the angle that it corrected at, whereas this got extended. Let's clean this up. This got extended and it came down hard, and then I love when they do that. It came down and broke that low and then sprung right back up again. And while this one also broke the low, you can see it's you know, that angle that it came down at, and then it sprung back up again. So this one is questionable, its ability to make new highs because of how this came down versus this one, which is overall sideways. If we were to change that to a closing chart with the candles gone, you know, you could see it did poke down, but you know, more of a sideways action versus a downtrend and reversal, sharp downtrend and reversal. But this cleared this resistance, like a lot of things, the market and a lot of stocks, they cleared this resistance. And then, so now they're pulling back, or some are pulling back, like the Google this morning. This one more sideways, and in the market more sideways. The Google was more of a regular, if you will, type of pullback toward support. XLF is shaping up here. Possibly it'll be a long, I want to see toward the end of the day here. I like the wide range bar down and the gap up today. Of course, I want to see that it can hold. And this is today is, I'm going to call like, a wait and see day, meaning, we've got this bullish price action that occurred a couple of weeks ago. Last week was a big yawn for the most part. The last 4 days going nowhere. Financials did drop down, and now this morning's gap up, and so far holding up quite well. So the wait and see is it for real? Do buyers keep coming? Do they run for the exits and it just gets sloppy again? So these broker dealers, have been holding up well. Not a lot of momentum, but they look good. Well, this is pulling back here, but nice uptrend. Schwab looks good. Goldman, not so good, but maybe it's going to bring up the rear. So the smaller broker dealers, Ameritrade, Schwab, IB. I'd wonder the size of those comparatively. Schwab is the oldest, I believe. That was around basically as your Schwab was the leader into the discount broker space. Breaking ground away from the established brokers to say, hey, people, you don't need those big brokers with the big commissions to take your money. Morgan looks pretty good, shaping up. That's kind of what I see. Like I said, a wait and see, the shaping up. E-Trade, very strong, tight uptrend on the daily. I don't know this one. Well, that looks good. Stall there at the 50. That one is more thinly traded, but nice little double bottom there. And what about IB, Tim? I mean, they've become huge. I think they have a lot of brokers that manage their clients' accounts there. That kind of a firm, besides retail and institutional traders. Cheryl, that date means that's when they're going to report earnings. So it changes as we look at different stocks. So it's the current date, but this says when they're going to report earnings. It's just an easy way. I set it up that way, so not to have to go to a website and try and find that all the time. So Raymond James is going to report on the same. This one's going to be the day after. This one's the day after. It's more like a sell setup. So a lot of them in the third week, fourth week in July. This one in August. IB, July 17th. So this is the float on the stock. And this is the percent change on the day. That's the net change. And there's a percent change there. Yeah. So whenever you look at my charts when they're up there, if I'm talking about anything, sometimes honestly, I don't think that in the moment because I'm looking at the pattern, but it's there to kind of, you look at it. I will look at it. I always check that. But it's a real easy way, of course, because you're just looking at it. Something changed here in this platform. They used to be able to connect this to that minder with all the stocks that were in this. This is a good ETF. It's a little thin, but which is surprising because there's a lot of bigger stocks that are in it. Q's getting weaker here. I think that's going down. Yeah. So I set this alert on Pfizer because it's where a sell setup should set up. I was thinking, well, maybe measured move higher, maybe. I know the ETF is up against some resistance, so I'm just going to set a new alert. I wanted to know if it was initially getting weak on the day. So I'm going to set an alert here. Because obviously there's support. I want to see if it holds. And if it continues to get weak, this is going to set up a short. And no earnings until August, so we're safe with that. Yeah, just kind of sideways garbage on the weekly, but short-term weakness, I'll play that. XLK coming in. I was kind of watching Twitter here today. There's not time to do anything right now. And overall, it has a constructive pattern, similar to a lot of things, taking out this resistance and this chop down. And, I like the hourly. I want to see if it can hold up here like a lot of things. And if they do, it's going to open up the door to move higher. So it's time to wait and see here. So Q's just broke below the low of the day, and the day's open. So what does that mean? Well, very short term, it means that longs are getting impatient and they want to go to lunch. It could not get through this resistance area there. And it hasn't failed completely. That's all that's going on is same thing that was going on last week. Right? That's what I said this morning. Just continuing within the range. Now it's backing off from the top of the range. How far does it go down into the bottom of the range? So part of our bias is that from the bullish point of view, which how things started out today, it won't go down and fill the gap, which would be the bottom of the range. Now we wait and see. So this type of break under the low should result in buyers stepping up, maybe here. And if we go down to a 5-minute, right, when we come back from lunch or doing whatever we're going to do, this should be a downside shakeout, meaning buyers should step up in this area and begin to rattle around and come back up again. That type of pattern would be supportive of a bullish bias. If it's down after lunch to the blue line, well, that's going to be kind of ugly, because this bar will be a topping tail with a big red body, which would be kind of unusual looking bar. So what we want to see, right, what would be a normal kind of a, would be right down here. Right? So Friday's high, which is right where I'm saying, right here, or even a little bit before, that would be more bullish because that is the obvious place where buyers should step up. Now, if they step up above it, that would communicate they're more anxious to get long, where they're all looking at the same place, traders, whoever wants to get long the markets, funds. So if it starts to stabilize before it gets there, they're more aggressive. They're afraid they'll miss it, and they start accumulating early. Whereas if it just blasts through it and goes down, we're back to the same old garbage. So we'll see. We'll see. That's what some guidelines as to what to look for, but overall, things are going nowhere. And you can see percent change on the day. Yeah. This XOP made a new high, the transports, which looks good. And that helps, maybe it's just not technology. Technology is not going to be the place. Even though semiconductors are doing okay. So you got to look at these, what's up percentage-wise doing well. How's it doing in the moment? KRE. So that's it, guys. I'm going to take off for a little while, and we'll be back a little later. We'll see how things look. Hopefully things hold up. I see the S&Ps are holding up. So there are things that are doing well, right? And there are things that are not doing so well. So we'll see what continues to do well or not, and we'll make some adjustments and find some trades accordingly. All right. We'll talk a little later.